The skyline of Canary Wharf, London is a shimmering forest of glass and steel, a testament to ambition and the relentless pursuit of success. For Clara, a 32-year-old senior data analyst, these towers represented both her greatest achievement and her most suffocating prison. As a single mother, raising two young daughters in a modest flat in Greenwich, the prestige of working for a top-tier investment bank wasn't just about the title, it was about survival. Every morning, as the fog rolled off the River Thames, Clara would stand on the platform of the Jubilee line, taking a deep breath before plunging into the golden cage. The toxicity didn't arrive with a loud bang. It seeped in like a slow leak. Her direct supervisor, Marcus, was a man of immense talent and even greater insecurity. He practiced a sophisticated form of psychological warfare common in high-stakes corporate environments, gaslighting. He would give verbal instructions and then deny them in meetings, or intentionally exclude Clara from vital email chains only to berate her in front of the department for being uninformed. For Clara, the conflict was visceral. Every evening she returned home with a pounding headache and a soul that felt bruised. The internet and many of her well-meaning friends gave the same advice. Self-care is a priority. Your mental health is worth more than a paycheck. Leave immediately. But as she looked at her daughter sleeping the reality of the London cost of living crisis and the weight of her mounting student loans whispered a different truth. To leave without a plan was to trade one nightmare for another. She was caught between a boss who diminished her worth and a financial reality that demanded her presence. The breaking point came on a Tuesday afternoon. Clara had spent 3 weeks building a complex risk assessment model for a high-profile merger. During the final presentation to the executive board, Marcus presented her slides as his own. When a board member asked a technical question about a specific outlier in the data, Marcus faltered, then turned to Clara with a condescending smirk. "Clara, I noticed a few errors in your preliminary data entry earlier. Perhaps you can explain why you haven't corrected this yet." The room went cold. It wasn't just credit stealing, it was a public execution of her professional reputation. That evening, Clara didn't go home immediately. She sat on a bench near the Royal Observatory looking out over the city. She realized that leaving in a state of emotional wreckage was exactly what a bully like Marcus expected. If she quit now, she would leave with a fractured ego and a depleted bank account. Right there under the meridian line, she made a silent pact with herself. She wouldn't quit, not yet. She decided to treat her workplace as a paid fellowship of hard knocks. She calculated that she needed exactly 2 years to save enough to cover 5 years of living expenses, what some call the Freedom Fund. She stopped viewing Marcus as a boss and started viewing him as a weather pattern unpredictable, loud, but ultimately unable to stop her from building her own ark. She wouldn't leave until she was the one holding the keys to her future. The next 18 months were a masterclass in stoicism. Clara adopted a new philosophy, strategic invisibility. While Marcus continued his outbursts and petty humiliations, Clara became the ghost in the machine. She volunteered for the most complex back-end projects that no one else wanted to touch, the deep-level coding and system architecture that kept the bank's daily operations afloat. She wasn't just working, she was building a monopoly of knowledge. She became the only person who understood the legacy systems that integrated with the bank's new AI protocols. Whenever Marcus yelled, she would mentally visualize her Freedom Fund ticking up. £500 saved this month. £1,000 bonus for an excellent rating that even Marcus couldn't deny her because her metrics were undeniable. She also began internal networking. Instead of complaining about her boss, she became a silent pillar of support for other departments. She spent her lunch breaks often at her desk, connecting with colleagues in the New York branch, sharing insights on cross-Atlantic data flows. She was building a bridge to another continent, while her feet were still firmly planted in the toxic mud of her current office. The emotional toll was still there, but it was redirected into an obsession with her craft. She wasn't a victim of Marcus. She was a consultant for her own future, and Marcus was simply the difficult client paying for her children's tuition. The opportunity for the Great Leap arrived unexpectedly. Marcus, in his relentless pursuit of status, had pushed the department to adopt a high-risk, high-frequency trading algorithm to impress the New York headquarters. However, he had ignored Clara's warnings about a logic loop error in the code. Just as Marcus flew to New York City to present the success of the integration at an office overlooking Times Square, the system began to glitch. Back in London, the screens turned red. Millions were being diverted into stuck accounts. Marcus, standing in a boardroom at 1515 Broadway, panicked. He couldn't explain the error because he hadn't written a single line of the code. The New York executives were livid. Clara received a frantic recorded call from Marcus, his voice trembling. "Clara, you need to fix this. Now. I'll make sure you get a promotion. Just get us back online." Clara didn't panic. She didn't even get angry. She sat in her Greenwich flat. It was her day off, and calmly replied via email, "I can certainly assist. However, as I am currently on a scheduled personal break, I will need to be brought in as a technical lead for the Global Recovery Task Force to have the authority to override the New York servers." Within an hour, the head of global operations in New York was on the phone with her. For 48 hours, Clara worked from a rented office space in Manhattan. The bank flew her out on a private charter. She bypassed Marcus entirely. She saved the bank an estimated £40 million in potential losses. By the time the sun set over the Hudson River, the hierarchy had shifted forever. The executives saw Clara for what she was, the architect of their stability. Marcus was revealed for what he was, a loud-mouthed liability. Clara didn't return to her old desk. She had already reached her Freedom Fund goal 3 months early due to the massive recovery bonus she negotiated. When Marcus was eventually phased out, corporate speak, for fired, after the audit revealed his negligence, the bank offered Clara his position. She turned it down. Instead, she accepted a vice president role at a boutique firm in Upper Manhattan, a company known for its radical transparency and supportive culture. She moved her daughters to a bright apartment near Central Park, leaving the London fog behind for a new sunrise. The story of Clara teaches us a vital lesson. Resignation is a tool, not just an end. If you leave a toxic environment when you are broke, broken, and bitter, you carry that trauma into your next role. But if you leave when you are financially secure, technically superior, and emotionally detached, you aren't quitting, you are ascending. The mirror challenge for you tonight. Look in the mirror and ask yourself, am I running away from a person, or am I running toward a destination? If you are in a toxic workplace, your challenge is not just to survive, but to thrive in spite of it. 1. The 6-month buffer. Can you commit to staying just long enough to save a peace of mind fund that allows you to say no to the next bad offer too? The skill monopoly. What is the one thing you can learn in your current hell that will make you a god in your next heaven 3? The emotional firewall. Can you stop giving your boss the power to ruin your dinner? Treat their toxicity as a tax you pay for your future empire. Don't just leave. Outgrow them. Build your ark while the sun is still shining, even if the rain feels like it will never stop. Your future self is waiting for you on the other side of this strategy. Are you ready to play the long game?